Here we go. Who's on? Oh, we've got a few on, so that's all cool. It is Monday night, so it is Chewin the Fat with the Cap. We've had mega issues here, so I'm going to start the show with a bit of a disclaimer. We may drop out at some stage tonight, and the show might actually end very abruptly. My computer died during the week, so I'm actually running it through a very, very old laptop, and we could die at some stage during the night, but I will cover as much as I can before my computer actually crashes. What have I got tonight? I've got a fair bit on tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about LiveScope. So because of my computer issues, I haven't got a guest on, so I'm hoping that we can interact with you guys and girls and talk about forward-facing sonars for the first bit of the show. We're still going to be doing the postcode prize, so we've got a lure pack to give away for the postcode prize. Make sure you whack your postcodes in there. But allowing on that Australia Post has let us down, and most people in Australia have been let down by Australia Post in the last month. Galvo from Teams Fishing Australia has actually donated a prize pack to give away because we are launching tonight the second video of the Teams Fishing Australia event where the Bluefin Fishing team, we took the cameras and recorded ourselves at the event, and I think the videos come up quite well. We've been able to manage to put about 25 fish into a 6-minute video. So there's not many fish, but a lot of talking, and hopefully you all enjoy that. I will release that and play that later on, and then that'll go out through all our channels. But yeah, look, as I said, we want to talk to the start. We want to talk about this forward-facing sonar. By the time we finish chatting, I'm going to at least put your head straight on which one you should buy, and you can work it all out from there. So listen in carefully, get your postcodes in. We've got a heap of people on now. A lot of people obviously are looking forward to, all coming through loud and clear. Everyone's on there, so that's really cool. So make sure if you've got any questions about forward-facing sonar. Now I'm gonna break that down a little bit for you as well. So we're talking obviously 3 separate brands are in the running for this segment at the moment. Garmin's been out for a couple of years with their LiveScope. They've been running really, really good product, and it's been working really well. Lowrance bought out an inferior product, then upgraded to their new active target, which is insane. And now Humminbirds hit the scene with the Mega Live. So I'm hoping I can answer all of your questions about live sight, forward-facing sonar, that sort of thing as we go on. So if you have any questions on that or any questions at all, whack them in the comments. And if I can get to them, I definitely will. So let's go with the first question. It's a BCF question. G'day, Corey. Just wondering if anyone has used the 3D printed swim baits from BCF, the ones that look like big redfin. So what I'll get you to do, if you have used them, I haven't used them, mate. So if you have used them, answer that question in the comments, and let's see what everyone else has sort of done with those. But I have not used them yet. All right. Who have we got on? We've got James, Eli, Scott, Fish on, Jacob. We've got heaps of people on. Bo, Galvo, Dave. G'day, Dave. Warren's on again. Kyle, Neil, Glenn, Scott. Yeah, just heaps of yous on. All right, so let's get into it. Forward-facing sonar. The first thing is I've been looking at a fair bit on social media of late, and there's a fair bit of innuendo and just downright bullshit going on with all this active target and forward-facing sonar technology. Now, let's go back a few years when side scan come out, and of course, Humminbird were leading the way with their Mega 360 imaging, and you could see all the way around the boat, and nobody had a problem with it. Now, all of a sudden, Live Sight shows you fish live, and there's a fair bit of shit going on in the social media space. And yeah, we'll cover those as we go forward. But I'm going to wait for a few questions and then we'll go from there. So Neil wants to know the price between the three of them. So very competitive, Neil. I've done my research just through the Australian sites. So I'm not going through the American sites, just through the Australian sites. And Garmin and Lowrance are around that. I think Garmin's the cheapest at the moment I could find today at $19.99. Lowrance is $24.99. But apples for apples, with the Lowrance one, you get all of your attachments included. With the Garmin one, I believe you have to buy separate attachments for your poles and stuff like that. So by the time you buy them, they're very competitive in the price. And there's not a lot of information out there on the new Humminbird Mega Live at the moment. But the price that I did find on the computer today was well above the other two. So let me just have a quick look. Sorry, Carbon Lives were $21.99. Garmin was $19.99, and the Humminbird was a little bit higher at $24.99. Now these all come directly off their individual websites. Whether you can get them or not is a totally different thing. But the prices are very competitive in the marketplace. One of the biggest differences I've seen between the three is that Humminbird have not got a black box. So basically it has two leads running from your sounder all the way to the transducer. One's a power lead and one's obviously the connection for the sonar itself. So if you're, I suppose, limited for space in your boat, the Humminbird without the black box running it, it's going to be running off the unit itself. So I'm not 100% sure. Time will tell with Humminbird whether the computing processor power of their units will actually make a huge difference to the picture. I strongly think that if you have a Lowrance product or a Garmin product at the moment, you definitely at this point in time won't be changing over to the Humminbird at this stage. I think they've still got a little bit of work to do. So yes, that's the price, mate. So that's what I found on their websites. Let's have a look. Pole versus, all right, Aaron's got a good one here. Pole versus electric mount. Well, I can tell you, depends on what you fish. So straight up, if you're fishing for, let's say in a Queensland impoundment or a New South Wales impoundment, you're fishing for bass or maybe bass or goldens or schooled fish out in the open, running on the electric is not a huge issue. I think if you're fishing and you use your spot lock a lot, you would definitely want to put it on a pole. Now, there is a variant now in the marketplace which I've actually purchased from the States. So hopefully I can do a review on those in the next 2 weeks or so when it actually turns up. I have been running mine on the pole itself, on the electric itself, and it works great, don't get me wrong. But if you want to spot lock just off a snag, Murray cod fishing, and you want to stay there, you don't have talons or whatnot, it's very hard to do that. And if the wind blows up, it's hard on the electric. So it is harder on the electric. It can be done. The pole is definitely better, but I've actually ordered from the States, I think they call it a Tourette, which is basically a second foot pedal with a mount on the front of my Ghost trolling motor, and it will look like a 360 pole at the very front, and I can use that as a second foot pedal on the front of the boat. So there's sort of three options there, and I think it cost me around the $1,500 to $2,000 mark landed in Australia. I can't remember what extra attachments I bought with it, but it wasn't that much dearer than setting up poles and everything else, and it all links to the electric, so it's one piece, it's not hanging off the side of the boat as well. So that's poles versus mounts. Okay, Steve wants to know if I've seen any footage from Hummingbird live yet. Yes, mate. I've done a fair bit of research today on as many different avenues as I could take, and as I said before, I'm not bagging them out because they are only new, and we've got to wait for better footage to come out. But the footage that I've seen so far, to put it in perspective, it's somewhere in between Lowrance's first effort of their live sonar and where Lowrance is now. They're sort of halfway in the middle there. That's kind of where the Hummingbird image sits for me. When I look at it, it is still good, and I will answer a question which, as I said later on, about which unit you should buy, because Hummingbird's still in the running. Don't get me wrong, I'm not just bagging out Hummingbird on this situation. I do have Lowrance, so I might favour Lowrance a little bit, but I'll tell you why you should buy which unit or whatnot later on. I'll just get through as many questions as I can. The greatest advantage of live sonar is getting to see the fish reacting to your lure. Well, yes, that is one of the advantages, but let's go with a disadvantage. All right. One thing that I have noticed that nobody is telling you when you first get your forward-facing sonar, live sight, live scope, whatever you want to call it, mega live, it doesn't really matter what we call it, but it is a forward-facing sonar or a directional sonar. The biggest thing is you start to watch the screen and you don't concentrate on your fishing. So for anyone that thinks that they're going to go and buy one of these units that's going to improve their fishing, mate, you're rudely mistaken. It is going to take you a month of to get it through your head to actually fish. I went out the first time, I think I cast about 8 times and 3 hours went past. I went, whoa, what's going on there? So it's not the be-all and end-all. You still have to regulate what the weather's doing, what the current's doing, all this other stuff, and you've still got to cast. You've still got to learn to cast. Just because you've got a direction on there and you're saying that there's no fish on that stump, well, it doesn't matter because they can be behind it or whatnot. So don't think that just by buying one of these units is going to make you a better fisherman. There is some scenarios where I think it's going to really rock some marketplaces, and others where, it's just another advantage. As I said, like Mega 360 Live, that whole round your boat thing, was that unfair to the fish or whatnot? No, it didn't. It helps. Everything helps, but you can get caught in the trap, that's for sure. Yeah, look, Scotty, Langers does run it on the electric for sure, and that stops you from standing there just using it on the pole. That is 100% true, but Langers is also a quality fisherman first. He uses his technology to help him, but it's not the front of what he's doing. He's always thinking, 10 steps ahead. So it's not going to, as I said, make you a better fisherman just because you can see the fish. It can get very, very frustrating. Tristan, any idea of the current draw of the Lowrance units? Battery power and space is limited, so that's a great question. Once again, this is where I think the 360, the Hummingbird Mega Live will win some marketplaces, and I think that might be that kayak market because it is just powering the transducer. It is not powering the big box to draw on current. So Hummingbird haven't released any power draws at the moment, so I can't give you a comparison over the 2 or 3. But I'll look into that and maybe answer that in a couple of shows' time if I can. But that is a big calling card of you've got those smaller vessels where you don't want to put a black box out in the open, say an open tinny or a kayak where it's going to get wet, and you just that's where that Hummingbird Mega Live will come into its own in that situation as well. So great question there. I think, Bo, how much has fishing changed? Yeah, well, that's probably the with going into your question, that's probably the biggest thing I've learnt since getting my active target and starting to throw lures. Where I think the lure is actually somewhere near the bottom, it's not. So from about 40 feet, if you're throwing, say, a Bassman DT for cod, once you get it to that sort of or casting it out to that 40 feet mark, and you're winding it as slow as what you can, and you think that you're bumping the bottom, you're actually not. You're bumping through snags on the way back, yes, but you're nowhere near the bottom. It almost comes up with a really, really slow wind on a standard reel, that it's almost coming up in a 45 towards you. So definitely changes your fishing in that sense, seeing what the actual lure is doing compared to the bottom of the water or the water column that you want to fish. I think it'll be ideal for spoon fishing up in Queensland, where you want that lure to be floating through that 20-foot mark in 100 feet of water. It'll be ideal to keep your lure in that strike zone for sure, 100%. Looking at the questions. Jacob, yep. All right. So pros and cons. The big pros are that it will help you with understanding what's happening in the water in real time. So you don't have to wait for a bite to say that color or that lure is what you should be throwing. You can see fish come out and have a look at your lure, and it might be a scent scenario. So I think that's definitely the pros of it, and definitely the cons of the whole forward-facing sonar scenario is when you are just staring at the screen and PlayStation fishing and not concentrating on the environment and everything else, and all you're doing is concentrating on the screen. That's a definite con. You're not actually fishing, you're actually staring at the screen and not actually concentrating on everything that's around you. So that's really cool one there. There you go. Adam said that what is that? IO Marine have good stocks of Lowrance active targets at the moment. If anyone's interested, price is $2,230 shipped. So there you go. There's a price shipped to your door, and they have them in stock. All right, Chris said, I have the Garmin and have the Lowrance active target. Definitely more detail in the fish on active target, but Garmin is better for structure. There you go. That's somebody that's used both of them, and I've seen both. And look, as I said later on, I'm going to answer the question of which one you should buy, and I think it's pretty straightforward. It's going to be an easy decision, that's for sure. Jason wants to know any suggestions for which unit would be best suited for kayak fishing, small creeks, logs, and snags. As we sort of covered a little bit earlier on, the Mega Live might be the way to go with the power draw. If you say maybe got a big Hobie Pro Angler or one of those type, and you can carry a bigger battery, I suppose all three are going to be in the scenario. But have to be careful with those black boxes that you don't get any water in them either. All right. Kyle's got one here. Is there a setting that you have noticed that has helped you understand the image better? In the grand scheme of things, they're pretty easy to use. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, once you've got out there and used it, and mine's all on factory specs. The only thing that I play with a little bit, and it's not a lot because I haven't experienced, say, really, really dirty water at the moment, is like your gain settings. But other than that, all three of them sort of label them different. But your standard settings definition is quite good. Sometimes the biggest thing I suppose I've noticed is the amount of bait fish you can see with live imaging over a standard sonar or a DSI type situation. So settings are just something. I think the pellets make a difference. So choosing which pellet that you see better gives you that sort of harder structured bottom. Definitely fish stand out better on that. But as was said earlier in the show, the fish stand out better on the active target, and the structure is better on the Garmin. So yeah, Tony reckons he's 100% watching the screen too much. Good question, Warren. Do you need a standalone screen like the 360? No, you don't. My motto to this show is buy the best you can afford at the time. And to be brutally honest, no, you don't need separate screens. I mean, Lowrance have got a really cool fish finder called the FS Elite 9. It's a 9-inch screen. It's very, very clear screen. Our ambassador Bill's been using it. That alone would be fine for running active target. A 9-inch screen is like huge. Just running multiple screens on a smaller device make it harder to see. So you would just have that screen open at that time. I am only running one finder on the front of mine. Mark you, it is a HDS 12 Live on the front, but I don't have 2 units at this point in time because I can't afford it. So that's you can run it on your current sounders and stuff like that. So just checking out your models with whichever unit you've got. Galvo's the man in the know, 1.5 amps an hour, Tristan, so that might answer that question. Warren again, screen size, yeah, the bigger, excuse me, the bigger the screen, obviously is easier on the eyes, but it's actually the better the screen, the better the quality. So you're not going to see, like I notice a big difference between my live unit, my carbon unit. My live unit's got a different screen in it, and I can see it better. So there you go. 9 versus a 16. Yeah, look, and that's Paul. That's a relevant question. Watching the fish not biting and not fishing well, that is 100% correct. That can happen, and you can get really, really frustrated with not catching them. So it's something that you're going to definitely have to get used to. If you go out there, say you're a competition fisherman, and you go out and buy a live sight, live scope, Panoptics, whatever you want to call it, and you install it on the Thursday and go and pre-fish on the Friday, you're wasting your time. You need a couple of weeks to get used to it. Don't go straight into a comp using any new technology and think it's going to make you a better fisherman, that's for sure. Hey, we've got a postcode winner here. Better do this one. So the lure pack Harry draws out at random inside. So the winner this week is Aaron Lawson from Claimer 2533. Aaron, you've won the lure pack, which is a postcode prize this week, and I shall post that out to you. Make sure you send your address through to Corey's Dam Fishing Facebook page so I can post that directly out to you, mate. All right. Let's have a look through. I've got to have a drink. The questions are coming thick and fast tonight. I haven't even got time to have a rest. So, Brett has asked a question about, can you use a spare iPad to run it on a separate screen? I don't know. I can't answer that. That is one thing that I didn't find out tonight. Maybe Galvo will know that. I know with the Lowrance you can mirror your screen, but I'm not 100% sure on whether it would work through the iPad. You're just mirroring the screen. So I might find out about that one and try and get an answer to you, Brett. Elon reckons a 60-inch screen. All right, Kyle's got another one here. How do you think live is going to affect the fishing in the future? Fish are going to start to see a lot more lures. Look, all right, I'm glad somebody's asked this question. I really wanted something similar to this question to get asked 100% for sure. Just because you can see the fish now doesn't mean they weren't there in the past. So for everyone out there saying, oh, yeah, now you're only throwing at fish and you're doing this and you're doing that, well, those lures were still going in front of fish's face in the first place. So you're just actually seeing what's happening. So I don't think it's a big issue in this sense. I think it's actually, from what I've seen in the short time that I've had it, when you've got the forward-facing sonar, I can see the bait fish in the ends of trees swimming around, and you can throw lures from them. They spread out and they come back, and they're not actually scared, and they swim up right around the face of the sonar itself, and not actually scared of it. And when you're running, I turn my other sonars off, so my standard sonar and my DSI, and turn them off. And you haven't got that tapping, ping noise happening. The fish seem to hang around the boat a lot more. It doesn't matter how much noise you have. So I think that's going to help, yeah, for sure. But I don't think – I think it'll – like the guys like the Skiers boys I've had on the show 2 times now, and they catch a lot of big fish. It's not just because they have Garmin. The guys are dead set guns, and they know what they're doing. They're throwing the right lure at the right time, and they're going out at the right time. They're not sitting back at camp drinking tinnies on those prime bite times. They're going out and they're hunting fish, so they deserve those fish. Yes, they use the technology to their advantage, but it's not the be-all and end-all. So it's not all of what it's about. So, yes, Kyle, I don't think it'll affect the fishing in the future. I think it'll make fishermen smarter and maybe use their time more productively. But I honestly don't think it's going to, it is a game changer in you will learn more quickly from this technology. So for the guys that have spent 30, 40 years on a river working it out and knowing when the bait's spawning or when the prawns are out, when the Murray crays are out, and that's the lures that they're using, well, those guys have spent time doing that, whereas I think you'll be able to pick that up a lot quicker using this. So that's probably my gig to that one. Let's have a look. Yeah, Chris said he's been watching. Yeah, fish follow and don't commit. Well, I can tell you one of the amazing things that I have noticed is how quickly fish will come out of the snag and have a look at a lure, like absolutely breakneck speed out of the tree, look at the lure, sit there behind it for a couple of seconds, and then just turn around and go straight back into their little hidey hole. Now, it is dead set amazing to see how quickly they come out and not actually strike that lure. So, whether it's the wrong lure, the wrong scent, or the vibrations attracted them out, and then they looked and they go, I'm not eating that. So, definitely a lot of fish follows that you would never have known about before, and probably make you change your lure quicker or make a change quicker than what you would without knowing that sort of thing. So that's for sure. Gobo says the live sonar technology shows, yeah, well, look, for years we've known they're in there. It's amazing to see Facebook and Instagram and shows like that, how each fish gets caught and they're all, this is a meatery and whatnot. But the amount of big fish in there is absolutely phenomenal. So I would be, there's just hundreds of fish. So don't be saying, oh, look, there was 10 meateries caught at Mulwala last week. All the meateries have been caught. There is mega fish in the dams, and not just Mulwala, but everywhere in the river itself. Don't get caught up in that. All right. We've still got a massive amount of questions still to go through. I need a bit of a rest. And as I said, I've got a prize pack here to give away. Australia Post has let me down. It is a Teams Fishing Australia prize pack. It will be given out to one of these great questions tonight. We're not doing Harry's Wheel because of my computer problems. And I just want to go through here that I would have loved to have had the prize pack here and shown you all, but unfortunately, because we're releasing the team's video tonight, I want to give it away on tonight's show. It will be posted out to you direct, but it is a team's fishing shirt, stubby holder, and brag mat. So basically, that's the team's fishing hoodie there. They're a brilliant shirt, and we'll be posting them out. The prize will be given out from the questions. I will pick a question later on, but I really need to have a rest of my voice. So I will get back to talking about live sonar and giving away that prize after. I've got to do a video. This is the release of the Bluefin Fishing Team's page, or we actually had a cameraman with us for the whole competition, and they filmed. We had two cameramen actually, and they filmed us all. We got hours and hours worth of footage, and we had to basically get that back down to 3 small videos. We had the first video last week. This one runs for about 6 minutes. This is actually day 2 of the comp, and it's basically moving day. Benny and I started the day out in 35th place, and you can have a look and see where we ended up in the end of the day. And next week I'll release day 3 or the final video of that one. So I hope you enjoy this. It goes for 6 minutes. Have a bit of a watch. I'm going to go through the questions here, hopefully come back and answer the remainder of those questions for you. But I need to give my voice a bit of a rest. I don't normally go solo, and talking for this long is really stretching my voice. So let me bring up the video for you. Now I'm just going to bring this up, and hopefully you all enjoy. This is just to give me a bit of a break with the voice, and yeah, tell us in the comments what you think about the video. It will be released on the Bluefin Fishing Team page tomorrow.
So, Team Fishing Australia, we're down here at Lake Mulwala. This place is huge, by the way. Yeah, so the whole setup of the comp is essentially, we've got 2.5 days to head out here. We fish from 7 till 5 on the first 2 days, on the Friday and Saturday, and then the Sunday we fish till 1:30 from 7. But we've got that time to catch our 5 biggest cod and our 5 biggest yellow belly.
Shoot out in the main bay. We're going to fish some channel edges. So today we're going to try and slow it down a lot, find up a lot more fish, and just cast some channel edges. We're going to use obviously Bassman spinnerbaits and some Xeric weedless plastics when we get into that real thick weed. So looking forward to today. It's going to be tough. The wind's blowing a little bit, but it's going to be a clear day. So yeah, let's see how we go.
Eggy Max to the rescue! Yeah, baby!
Work. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so basically our mindset at the start of the weekend was we're going to chase cod first. So we're going to try and catch, well, any comp, it's catch a bag. So we're going to try and catch our 5 cod early yesterday and then go up river and chase some yellows. Well, we struggled all morning out here. Well, we didn't fish, we fished mid-dam and we couldn't find the flow. So got to about lunchtime, we decided to go up and chase some yellows. We caught a cod and 2 yellows up there yesterday. Today we decided to come back out down. The channel is actually open, so the water's flowing down the sort of Kiffin side of the dam, and we figured we'd go chase some flow, and we've got a nice breeze coming across here, so that's why we wanted to stay down this end of the dam today. And Benny and I have been alternating. He's been chasing yellows, I've been chasing cod, and we swap and change, work as a team. So we've just caught that first cod, so we'll probably concentrate for the next hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe 4 hours, whatever it is, on the cod, and then we'll try and catch our final 2 yellows up the river maybe tomorrow. So looks like it's going to be a cod go now. Yeah, we had a really hard day yesterday, and Benny and I fished really well together as a team. So Benny, we made the decision last night. We only caught the 3 fish yesterday. We seen the people were catching them, so we sort of thought we need to just fill a bag and then we'll go from there. So we decided to come down this end of the dam. I started throwing some Bone Focus 130s, which are a small swim bait, a smaller model, and yeah, I caught the first fish. Benny was beside me fishing for yellow belly because we're going to try and fill the bags. Then once I got the first bite on that and then the second fish on that, we changed over and filled our cod bag by about lunchtime. Then we made the decision to do the long run. So we went all the way up to the back of the dam, almost a bundalong, got up there and then gulped our yellow belly, which was unusual. I had never done it here before. So we gulped up some yellows, we got our bag of them, then we just spot hopped for the next 2.5 hours. We pretty much covered everywhere on the dam. We were blessed, we got fish regularly. Benny really creamed it today, so I started out a bullet a gate and then Benny come home and just got us sitting well. So we had a good moving day today, but a lot of work to do tomorrow.
All right, there you go. I hope you actually enjoyed that video. That was just our recap of day 2. As you can see, we've got a couple of questions I want to go to because they're appropriate to that video, and we're talking about live sight. During that competition, Benny and I didn't have any active target live sight going. We were in 35th place after day 1, 34th or 35th place, something like that, and pushed our way into 2nd place overnight coming into the last day. So what it comes down to, and Benny and I fished intelligently to get ourselves into that 2nd place. We ended up, which I can't really talk about because it'll be on next week's show. We ended up somewhere up near the top, and that was without live sight sonar, live technology or anything else like that. We just used our fishing now. So you can do well in competitions without this technology, that is for sure. All right, let's go. And this brings us up to Jason, who said he's been watching the Skeezy boys killing it in tournaments, etc. This next statement is so true, mate. Time on the water makes all the difference. All right, you look at any of the top guys in their own realms, whether it be, say, Langers in the ABT scenes, 40 and guys like that, they're guides, so they're on the water all of the time. All right, so time on the water is the biggest key. Before any technology, time on the water is the biggest key, that's for sure, which will teach them, which is the next part of your sentence, are they doing something different to get the bite? Well, obviously they are, because they're getting the bite. They are gun fishermen in the first place. So right off that it's just the live site that is getting them the fish. Or these guys are dead set guns in their own right, and that's why they're catching fish. That's for sure. All right. So as I said, I'm running out of breath. I'm probably not going to go for the full hour tonight. It's probably time to, I suppose, get back to that original question: which one should you buy? I want to tell you all straight from the top that there is three. They're all good. Garmin have been running for 2 years. Lowrance have upped their game, and I'm absolutely loving my Lowrance stuff. And Hummingbird have brought out their Mega Live. So there are three separate companies doing very, very similar things. Which one should you buy? Well, let's go back to the motto on my show. All right. Buy the best you can possibly afford. For the last 2 years, I've been shouting that from the rooftops. Buy the best you can possibly afford. So each of the units have a base model that will work. If you absolutely necessarily have to go out and buy new technology, look at the cheaper option and upgrade from there if that's all you can afford. Don't go out and buy a 12-inch or a 16-inch screen and put yourself into debt and not be able to go fishing. That's one of my rules, straight up. Buy the best that you can possibly afford. Each company, as I said, has a base model that's compatible with it. I'll talk Lowrance with the FS Elite 9 unit and the Elite 7 unit. Well, you can plug the active target into those, and they're half the price of a HDS unit. So have a look at what models are compatible. I know that each supplier is different, so I can't talk about which supplier is right and which supplier is, got what unit is compatible with what. I believe the Solex and the Helix are going to be compatible. The new Elite FS, the Carbons, and the live units with Hummingbird, and I think the Garmin units are the GPS maps and the Eco maps are compatible. But check with your retailer first. So let's go. This is a long-winded answer, I suppose, to which one you should buy. If you are currently running a Garmin unit which is compatible, I wouldn't be changing. I would be just buying the transducer and adding it to my unit. There is no, out of the three units, there is not one unit that stands out above the others for any that is just downright the best. So once again, best you can possibly afford. If you're running a Garmin unit, buy the Garmin LiveScope. If you're starting out and you want to put a full boat network in, you've got to add everything up, right? Do you want music? Do you want motor connectivity? Which electric motor are you running? Are you running Talons? If that's the case, I would personally be steering away from the Garmins and steering towards the Lowrance and the Hummingbird for a full boat network where you can go with the Ghost trolling motor, hook up your Mercury or your Evinrude motor through your sounder, You've got your talons, everything running, your maps, your GPS maps, all of that sort of stuff. So I would be steering towards the Lowrance or the Hummingbird. But if I had Lowrance, which I do right now, Hummingbird hasn't sold me to change to Hummingbird with their technology. There is just not enough to make me change to Hummingbird from what they've showed so far. So full boat network, if you're doing a full boat network, look at Lowrance and Hummingbird. If you're just buying a single stand-around unit, look at the price, compare it all up. Hummingbird's going to be less on your draw because it's not running a black box. So ultimately, if you're running a unit that is compatible, run that brand live site. It's a bit of a cheat answer, but it's pretty much common sense, guys. If you're there is no need to change brands just for the sake of it. I will stick with Lowrance. I've loved Lowrance for years. One of the biggest drawing cards to Lowrance originally was the social maps. Now you can get the maps, the satellite map overlay on the Lowrances, and that with my Ghost and my Sonic Hub and everything else, I'm always going to stay with Lowrance for sure. So that's the answer. I was going to answer that question tonight, and for sure did. I'm just going to go back through some questions and finish off. See if there's any other questions. It's more frustrating. Yeah, here you go. Adrian said, if you ever wondered how many fish actually follow your lure, and now you see them, it is remarkable how many fish actually do follow your lure, and you didn't know about it before. So it can get quite frustrating. That is for sure. Let's go back through. It is very, very frustrating. So if you do fishing as a pastime or a relaxation, don't get forward-facing sonar. Let's talk about a few other things that people aren't realizing with this live technology, which is so cool, that nobody sort of tapped into on the moment. I've recently sort of got into trout and going back to the good old days of doing a bit of trolling and stuff like that. I can see having your transducer pointing behind the boat, seeing what depth your lures are actually running, and seeing how many fish are attracted to those lures. So running the active target or forward-facing sonar off the back of the boat in reverse for a choller might be amazing. I'd love to see some footage of people do that for your trout and your salmon and stuff like that. You're trolling with the transducer actually facing back, so you know what depth your lures are running. The other thing is bait fishermen. For those guys that have been smacking them out at Lake Hume with the reddies and that, when those reddies you're in 100 feet of water and the reddies at 30 feet, you'll be able to drop your bait straight down to 30 feet without missing a beat and leaving it in the strike zone. So there are some avenues that I can still see it working without actually talking tournaments as well. Bo, yeah, I've seen it used. What have I seen? I've seen Garmin and Lowrance in salt water. I haven't seen any Hummingbird images in salt water. Obviously, I think it's really. I'd like to see more in the salt water to see how actually good it is, because those much deeper depths and whatnot. But that's a whole different ball game. I don't understand that. That's why it's Corey's Dam Fishing. Paul wants to know if you think that the portable active target Steve has created would come look. I can't see why, if you and your mate wanted to buy a unit and share it, that's a great setup that Galbo's got there. I'd be frightened to drop that much money over the side of the boat. I definitely might have some tie downs, but once again, for the situation, if you haven't seen it, Tech Angler has just done up a portable system so he can go out in your boat and show you how it all works. It's quite an ingenious little setup on an esky. So I would think that people will do it, yes, for sure. All right, go continuing on. What has inspired you to go with the live sonar? Well, just to see what's in front of me. was the main reason I got it, to see where I'm casting, because you're standing on the front of the deck, especially when I was in the old Nitro 21-foot bass boat. You're standing up the front, your transducer's on the back. So your transducer's 21 feet behind you. By the time you've scrolled past that, anything that you've seen on side scan is 30, 40 feet behind you. So the main reason that I got the forward-facing sonar, or the directional sonar, whatever you want to call it, is to see what I'm casting at and see what's in front of me, whether it's a brush pile, snag, bait, that sort of thing. So that's what inspired me to get it. Let's have a look. Yeah, good question, Bo. Is there anything on the live active target that didn't hit the mark? For me, with the Lowrance unit, the grid lines. Straight up, I would love to have used the grid lines, but they're like too bright and like an overlay over the top, like an Excel document, and you lose a lot of the screen in behind the grid lines. I'd like to see the grid lines opaque and not as bright over the top. I think they definitely, Lowrance definitely missed the mark with the grid lines, that's for sure. All right, Garmin all the way, Mick reckons. How many snags have I hit? Look, one. To be brutally honest, I hit one, and I can tell you those plastic brackets are a lot stronger than I thought they were, because I was facing it out at a 45 away from me and not looking where I went, and went straight into a stump. So that is 100% true. Once again, you've got to concentrate on everything around you. That's straight up how it goes. All right, TN60s. I think portable unit. Yeah, Chris, g'day, mate. We did sort of cover this earlier. So personally, if you're in the market for one of the units, I would be, and you're starting out, I would probably be running it on the pole rather than the electric. But if you're the kind of guy that can get wrapped up in just concentrating on the screen, maybe put it on your electric to stop you, because every time you move the electric, you're going to move it and stop you from just staring at the screen all day. But as I said, I've got a Tourette coming from the States, and I will do a review on that later on to make sure that it works. For one, I'm not sure how much warranty I'll get coming from the States. It is basically a clip onto the front. It can clip onto all the brands, Minn Kota, Garmin Force, or Ghost, or Motor Guide. It actually bolts onto the front of like a 360 drive, and you've got a foot pedal that goes down beside your electric foot pedal, and you can steer it that way. So yeah, if you're using Spot Lock a lot, for sure. Oh, this is so much harder to talk for an hour when you're talking by yourself. I can tell you that 100%. Does anyone disagree with me? As I know there's been a couple of comments up there that are telling me that there was probably one Garmin guy on there saying Garmin all the way, Lowrance all the way. Keeping it, the comments as neutral as what I can. I do and am sponsored by Lowrance. I'm trying to be overall covering all three brands and being as honest as what I can from my perspective on it. Do your own research, find your own stuff, and make your own mind up on which one you should buy. But as I said, I wouldn't be changing brands just for the sake of it. None of them stand out above the others that say, as I said, I wouldn't change from Lowrance to go to Garmin, or I wouldn't change from Lowrance to go to Humminbird just for the sake of it. But if I was with Humminbird, I would stay with Humminbird because it looks like it's going to work. It's probably not quite as good. So, yeah, keep the questions coming in. I'll keep answering them until my voice stops. I'm still trying to get that Canadian club sponsorship, but they're not doing it. Mounted on a pole, yeah. Definitely, Greg, mounted on a pole does give you more control over it as well. But as I said, you can definitely get tied up with just using it and not fishing. So don't get caught in those traps. Yeah, Scott. Look, as I said, the questions have been coming in thick and fast tonight. Normally, I've got about 8 or 9 questions to answer. I've got a guest on to answer most of them for me, so it has been a tough night. Maybe I should have got a few tequilas out there. Aaron wants to know, Scout mate. Yeah, look, I loved it. In that, went across to Mulwala. And had a bit of a play, and really loved it in that shallower, really thick, weedier water. It was quite good, but once you get out into that deeper water, it's useless. So that was one thing that I really loved about the Hummingbird's bracket was so much easier to transfer to landscape over portrait than the Lowrance and the Garmin unit. So if you haven't seen that, jump onto one of their sites and have a look. But the pain in the ass is you got to lift your motor up, click a couple of clicks, and move it. It's not that bad, but I have seen a pole out there. Somebody was doing a pole that had like a gear lever off a bike, and you could click it a couple of times and it would flip it and turn it around and whatnot. That looked really cool. But in the sense of, if you were fishing deep and shallow, deep and shallow, deep and shallow to get annoying, I'd just leave it in, forward facing in that sense. All right. Nevin, great question. I haven't had the boat out in rough water. It was really, really rough water. Probably about half-meter swells, and it really didn't make a difference to the picture screen at all. I've had it in the river, down the Murray River towards, where was I? Down near Barham, Kundrook. The water was fairly shallow and flowing really fast down there, so there was a lot of shit coming down the water, and you could use your sensitivity gain thing and clear it up a bit there. But out in Mulwala in the deep water, up and down, I haven't had it out in real, real rough water. So I'll have to find out that one and get back to you. All right. Oh, let's have a look. Yeah, for sure, Chris. Going back onto that is especially for that for those moving fish. Guys are doing it different, and guys are talking about spot lock. That's why I went. I don't know the proper name for it, but the unit that I bought is called a turret. So it is an electric motor that bolts onto the front of my unit, so I can be in spot lock and turn it with my foot. I've got a foot controller there. The cord's long enough that I can walk along and use my hands if I want to, but it sits on the floor beside my foot pedal, and I can still follow fish around with like you would with a pole, but I've got both hands free to use for fishing. So each to their own. Just work out which you want to do. I think the fishing industry is great in general with stuff like that. So if you know somebody that's got it, go out with their boat and check it out and see if they've got a pole, or go out and see if they've got it on their electric. Work out which one suits your needs, and then go and buy it. Don't waste money. The fishing industry is great in that sense that, people go out. I'm always answering questions for people and that sort of thing. I'll give you an honest review on the turret once it finally gets there. Typical coming from the States. It was actually sent from the States over a month ago through UPS tracking. It landed in Australia nearly 2.5 weeks ago. It went from Sydney to Melbourne, and it's been in Melbourne for 2 weeks. And on the Australian Post tracking, it's still in America. So it's sort of lost in post at the moment, but I'll give you a fair fair rundown of that and a fair video of that when I get it going. All right, let's look through. Neil, it is always with dry, mate. I have occasionally bought the wrong can and had to drink it, but to answer your question, the club's always with dry. I don't know why. Just what I've always done. Just got sick of beer. I think that's how the ad goes, doesn't it? All right. Yeah, to be honest, Bo, I would definitely, if I had the choice after having the live scope, live site, whatever you want to call it, for about 2 or 3 weeks now, I would definitely still think that my electric motor is more valuable to me than the live scope at this stage. It may change down the track, but definitely 100% sure. Elion, do you think the technology advances in live scope? Well, everything gets cheaper in time, mate. I mean, you know, I think Dave Lawson said it earlier on. It's Ford versus Commodore. It's Samsung versus iPhone. The technology will get better. The older technology will get cheaper. That's just the way that it is. I was watching one video in all of my study for this during the week, and one of the guys said he had freeze outside fishing in the salt water. I think it was some ridiculous price transducer. It was like worth $15,000 just for his transducer. And you know, that's more than I paid for my motor. So you know, there is situations, I suppose, where this technology will improve and continue to rise in price. But that technology, as it sits now, will obviously get cheaper. I think the best thing for it to answer that question, Elion, is that now there is a marketplace. There are 3 people in the marketplace doing it, so it will keep the prices down. When you know, Garmin had all of the marketplace, they could have asked whatever they wanted and people would have bought it. So yeah, that's pretty much, you know, how it goes. All right, I've got any last questions? Get them in, because I'm just about hoarse. I'm on my hour now, so I've actually made the hour, so I'm pretty happy with that. Just making sure that I can. Aaron Lawson won the postcode prize. So, Aaron, make sure you send me a message to my Kurdistan Fishing Facebook page. If I haven't got you on my friends list, you can send it to me on my personal page. But if you're on my friends list, send it through your address so I can post out that lure pack to you. Now, as I said, Teams Fishing Australia, what a great comp. We had a ball. We had a dead set ball at Mulwala. Was so looking forward. I think it's the 10th and 11th. We're going to Windermere, and then at the end of the year, we're going to Glenbourne as well for the Teams Fishing Australia. Hoping to bring you some more content from those competitions. But Galbo, being a great supporter, has given the prize pack to give away tonight, which, as I said, is a Teams Fishing shirt, stubby cooler, and brag mat. So it's the winner tonight for his question early on the night is Kyle. Kyle asked the question early in the night, so you've won the prize. Kyle, I always get your last name wrong. I think it's Hipsley. I'm not quite sure. We talk all the time, but I've never actually asked you how you pronounce your last name. I get them wrong all the time. So we're just you send me through your details, and I will get Galvo to post out that pack to you. That's you know, that's that prize pack. As I said, I hope you enjoyed the video. We took a long time to put that together, and we do have the final results on next week's show as well. So looking forward to that one. I think they've come up great. I hope you liked them. So they'll be posted through all our social channels, and jump on and give us a like if you like those. Yeah, good win by the Bombers, yes, for sure. We are Hawthorn Essendon rivalry is always good. I was born in that era of Essendon hating Hawthorn and Hawthorn hating Essendon, so it's always good to beat Hawthorn. But if we're expecting to even push for finals, we would expect to beat Hawthorn this year. They're probably still a couple of years off as well. So, good win to the Bombers. Greg, am I fishing Ngambia in a couple of weeks' time? Yes, I am, mate. I'm looking forward to Ngambia. It's going to be a bit of fun. Central Victorian lure cast is always fun. It's just... Look, that's what Central Victorian Leucas is about. Don't get me wrong. It is still competitive and people still want to win. That's all great. But it's just a great bunch of people. It's like a social weekend up the river. Everyone gets along. Everyone has fun. Yeah, it's going to be, Kyle, it's going to be chocolate milk. It doesn't really matter. Fish still bite. I've seen them bite in chocolate milk. They might not. But we're there to have fun. I go as a social sort of thing. Even trying to talk Harry into coming to this one, so hopefully I can. So hopefully that's all of the questions that I could get to tonight in the hour. And that's the show. I'm going to call it because my voice is absolutely hoarse. Hopefully next week I have my computer fixed. I apologise if anything went wrong behind the scenes tonight. I don't even know if the feed's gone out. I'm running it off an old laptop with no processing power. So hopefully I get my computer back next week and we can get a guest on. And I'm not doing a solo show. This is hard work, but... yes, ladies and gents, thanks for being on and watching. Don't forget, Kyle, get me your address through so I can get that prize pack sent out. Aaron, you won the prize, the postcode prize. Thanks, everyone, for watching the show tonight. I will try and get to any of the answers I couldn't happen. And, we'll see you all next week. But that's it for now.